The subway fight between Ryu and Yuta is easily one of the most visually stunning scenes in Jujutsu Kaisen Season 3. The camera work, the impact frames, the grading, it looks absolutely insane. And this is how you can recreate it inside After Effects. All the assets and the final After Effects project file are available in the description for you to download. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to support the channel. Now, let's get started. To prepare for the first scene, we'll need backgrounds with an extended width like this to create the running illusion. In total, we'll need 3 different backgrounds, with the top and bottom sections separated for each character. Following that, the character frames and their corresponding legs are also prepared. To match the original scene, I'll arrange them on the timeline so they appear at the right moments, just like this. Next, to animate the running effect, we'll set keyframes on the position property for the backgrounds. In major animation studios, these exact values and distances are usually predetermined by the director, so you can look into that for reference. Although it takes a bit of time, we'll need to apply similar keyframes to all the remaining background layers. You only need to get it relatively close here, no need to be perfectly precise, as the fast-paced motion will blend everything together smoothly anyway. For backgrounds that aren't too detailed and have repeatable patterns, you can easily use the motion tile effect instead of creating an incredibly long asset. On this third background, I'm adding 2 keyframes to the opacity to create a more natural dark to light transition. I'll readjust the previous keyframes here, then press F9 and tweak the graph editor for a smoother animation. Do the same for the first background, adjusting the graph to ensure it starts slow and accelerates over time for a more organic feel. Moving back up, I'll create a new black solid to generate the electric streetlight effect seen in the anime. I'm using the CC spotlight effect for this. You can follow my exact parameters on the screen. Next, I'll apply both glow and deep glow to fine-tune the brightness until it looks right. Then tweak the color to match the grading. All right, let's change the blending mode to add and keyframe the opacity to let the light fade in. To make the light look like it's passing by, we need to keyframe both the from and to properties inside the CC spotlight effect simultaneously. The key here is to coordinate the movement of the light so it syncs perfectly with the character's movement frames. Once that's done, simply copy and paste the keyframes down the timeline. Finally, to clean up the overlapping light edges, set the track matte to the second background layer. Remember to turn the background layer's visibility back on, as After Effects hides it by default after applying a matte. All right, let's check out the result. For the next scene, we'll need a background split into light and dark sections like this. Next are the characters' movement frames and the energy beams. To make the energy orb gradually appear, I've prepared an additional frame here. First, keyframe the opacity, and then keyframe the scale to create the effect of it expanding outward, just like the original scene. Now, for the background, I'll duplicate the layer and use curves to darken it. Set keyframes on the opacity to simulate the environment gradually fading into darkness. Going back to the energy orb, I'll apply roughen edges to slightly soften the outer edges, then use deep glow with a low exposure value to create a subtle outer glow. Remember to select all these effects and paste them onto the top frame we created earlier. Similarly, for the remaining energy beams, I'll soften the outer borders with roughen edges and add a light glow using deep glow. I'm going to duplicate this layer and rename it to stroke. Then, I'll use the fill effect to change its color and add deep glow to create a soft blue light layer matching the original anime. Since this part will eventually flash white, I'll duplicate a third layer, crank up the deep glow exposure, and tweak it with the default glow effect to turn it completely white. After that, just keyframe the opacity to sync its timing perfectly. To add more detail, I'll create a new white solid to generate a lighting highlight on the character's face. Use the ellipse tool to draw a mask right in the center. Set the mask feather to around 300 and change the blending mode to overlay. Next, keyframe the opacity so the highlight fades in at the right moment. Finally, duplicate it one more time and make some quick adjustments to fully polish the scene. For the next scene, we'll need a tunnel background like this, along with Yuta's animation frames, the hand-drawn slashes, and finally, the train window layer. First, let's keyframe the position property to animate our book layer. To match the original anime, we need to frame by frame keyframe this manually so it syncs perfectly with Yuta's movements. You can reference my pre-configured values right here on the screen if you'd like. Although it's a bit time-consuming, manual keyframing is necessary until the end of the timeline to get that perfect look. Now, you might notice that the in-between frames drift into unwanted positions. To fix this, simply select all the keyframes, right-click, and choose Toggle Hold Keyframe. Next, I'll tweak the window layer using roughen edges and darken it slightly with curves. Duplicate this layer and apply distance gradation to create a subtle blur effect, dropping the opacity to around 70% for a more natural look. Similarly, we need to adjust the color and brightness of the background. I'll use curves for the lighting and follow up with hue saturation. Duplicate it once more, clear all effects, and change the blending mode to overlay at 45%, opacity to punch up the contrast. Now, let's apply the star glow effect to add a sharp, stylized glow around the magic particles. You can switch the preset to Electric Cross to get as close to the original anime as possible, then tweak the parameters and colors as needed. Duplicate this a second time, remove the previous effects, use Fill to add a base tint, and then apply deep glow for that ambient aura. Just like in the first scene, create a new solid and apply CC Spotlight to generate the passing streetlight effect. You can follow my exact effect settings on the screen. Once done, change the blending mode to Add and draw a mask to shape the light cone. Under the Effect properties, go to Compositing Options and link it to the mask we just created. Set the mask feather to around 100, then keyframe the opacity to sync with the beat of the scene. To save time, copy and paste these keyframes down the timeline And remember to convert them all into hold keyframes like before. Do the exact same thing by duplicating and repositioning another light layer for the top right corner, shifting the keyframes slightly to match. As for the electric light on the top left, since it only appears for the first 2 frames, we can just delete the rest of the unnecessary keyframes. Next, create a new solid around frame 4. I'll use Fill and Deep Glow to create a soft blue glowing layer. Draw a mask around the character with a high feather value of about 700. Then set 2 opacity keyframes, fading from 15% down to 3% to replicate that cinematic light dimming effect from the anime. Fine-tune the motion graph, duplicate the layer, and make some minor adjustments. Using this exact same workflow, you can add ambient light layers around other frames like this. This part is entirely up to your own creativity if you want to push the look further. All right, let's check out the final result. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe.